and salutations, dream launchers, taxpayers, Americans, humans. Thank you for joining us for another lunch series with Dream Launch. I am Demetrius Richmond. I am one of the founding members of Dream Launch team. We are here to just have some more discussions, some exchange about our reality, about our life right now, and then just kind of talk about mindset as we navigate through this Corona, COVID, remote quarantine life. Thank you all for joining us. It's a quick plug about who we are. Again, we are Dream Launch. We are your minority leadership development organization. We are committed to your success. We are committed to helping you figure out what is your next best step to succeeding in your life, personally or professionally. So we do this in a variety of ways through professional coaching workshops, professional personal development opportunities. So definitely check out our website. We are a team of seasoned professionals ready to help you make your next move. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We have about 15 minutes. We want to chat with you about some things about mindset. So, I want to talk to you about today's topic. And I want to start out with the quote. I entitled this, Have You Thought About How You Think? Have you thought about how you think? And I give that quote to a good friend of mine named Minister Joella Darby. She's a minister in Nashville, and we were talking about a couple of years ago, and we were talking about our experiences at the workplace. We were talking about just communicating with people. We actually were talking about there seemingly being a communication gap between the baby boomers and us Generation Xers. And she was saying how she had to really have some conversations with some of the people at her job because their mindsets were just very fixed and focused. And so I think that quote really gives us a great start on thinking about mindset. So that's why I entitled it, Have You Thought About How You Think? Have you thought about how you think? Mindset in a COVID area, making mindset your focus. So today we're going to talk about the power of mindset. We're going to define it. We're going to talk about its impact and really just try to talk to you about how to foster more of a growth mindset in today's reality. So we're going to define it. We're going to look at fixed versus growth mindset. Got a couple of case studies and some examples, and I want to briefly talk about some best practices, or as I call it, practices for improvement, to really to get us to think about how our mindset really shapes our life. Let's go ahead and get started. The mindset, again, what does that mean? Mindset, in its general definition, is how we think about our reality, about ourselves. It is really our mental perspective on how we navigate life. The cognitive processes and our thoughts in our brain really shape our attitudes, our behaviors, and really determines our success or our failure. So that's what we say when we mean mindset. So it's important to think about that as you think about how you navigate life. And when we think about a fixed mindset assumes that your abilities and your understanding are relatively fixed. You tend to have this perspective of either or, this or that. You either have it or you don't when it comes to your abilities and your talents. So, how many of y'all have probably told yourself, look, I can't do that. I don't have that skill set. I don't have that courage. I don't have that tenacity. I don't have the confidence to do that. It's just not going to happen. I'm just not going to do it. That is where the fixed mindset, really tends to dwell. And when we look at growth mindset really looks at abilities and talents in a developmental approach. So they're not fixed. My abilities, my skill sets, my competencies are not fixed. And I have the ability to grow them and develop them as much as I put in the work. I have a quick moment of clarity. I want to take a minute. So you take a minute. You're sitting here looking at me right now. Take a minute um, and think about um, all of this. I want you to take a minute and answer some questions. Answer a few questions in your mind and keep these at the back of your mind as you reflect because it's really going to shape this discussion. So think about, what is my current mindset about life? How do I approach life? What do I think about life? What do I think about myself in life? What do I think about the world and what's going on in the world? What do I think about how I feel about that? What do I think about how I navigate that? What is my current mindset about life? Is it positive? Is it negative? What is it? How would I describe my thought patterns? Are they rapid? Are they slow? How would you describe how you think? Do I like how I think? Do I like my mindset about life? And then finally, how can I improve my thoughts and perspectives? So keep these really as your philosophical underpinning as we have this discussion. What is my current mindset about life? How would I describe my thought patterns? Do I like them? How can I improve my thoughts and perspectives? Take about 20 seconds and just reflect on that. Nothing wrong with a moment of clarity. We encourage you to have these moments of silence and reflection to get clear about who you are and how you think about your life. I would say do this every day, at least in the beginning and the end of the day. Let's keep this party going. We're going to delve a little bit more into fixed mindset. I want to give you some examples of what are fixed mindset thoughts. And so as you look at these give you some examples. I just don't have what it takes. It doesn't matter anyway. My vote doesn't count. We hear that a lot now. Trump is going to win, whatever. It doesn't matter. Michael Jordan is a gifted athlete. I mean, he's just good. There's nothing that can be said about it. How many of y'all saw the Last Chance documentary? I'm Team LeBron. Let's go. I'm not as smart as people believe me to be. It is what it is. It is. I mean, it is what it is. So what you gonna do about it? Um, Another one, failure is not an option. We're going to talk a little bit more about that one. Failure is not an option, and that's just what it is. I don't failure doesn't exist in my life. There's nothing we can do. The economy is gone. There's nothing left. So as you look at these again, you see the fixed mindset really is about you thinking and acting as if you cannot further develop your intelligence quotient, your emotional quotient, your traits, your skills, your abilities, your competencies, just how you can do things. You just say, "Well, I have what I have, and it is what it is." And when you look at the literature and the research, it really talks about how people with fixed mindsets tend to avoid tasks that push them or push them into an uncomfortable zone. So when you think about comparing that to growth mindset, which is what we're trying to get you to adopt more as we navigate this COVID environment. The growth mindset allows you to think about what you're doing regardless of the outcome. I like that. The growth mindset allows people to value what they're doing regardless of the outcome. So you look at your abilities, your skill sets, everything that you're doing as a way to grow, and it's not dependent upon what the outcome is because you know that you have what it takes and it can be grown and developed. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about Carol Dweck, who has really done a lot of research and is a leading scholar on mindset. We think about some of these perspectives. I don't have what it takes for this, but how can I improve them? So instead of saying I don't have what it takes, it's what I recognize that I have some challenges here, but how can I improve this? What can I do to make this move further ahead? Although it feels like it doesn't matter anyway, how can I get my vote to count? Michael Jordan's dedication to practice and learning led to his achievements. Not to just he that boy talented. It's how he just got a gift. Sure, but again, it takes dedication and practice and learning to cultivate that gift. So again, this is a growth mindset to where it's just not this stifled set of skills that you only have. I can still learn and improve how smart I am. I still have room to grow, and I'm going to put the effort in to do that. Failing is inevitable, and it is a great way to learn and improve. So people who think that I'm never going to fail, failure is not an option. If you're a human and living on this earth, failure is going to happen. It's how you respond to failure, which is where the fix versus the growth mindset. And so again, the growth mindset accepts failure and centers it as a space for us to learn and improve, and not as this horrible situation that's going to rock me off of my foundation if it happens. Again, so the growth mindset leads you to new skills, new knowledge, and new areas of expertise. Take a look at this visual right here, because I'm a visual learner, and I just want to kind of give you a visual of how these mindsets really do show up in our minds and our thoughts. Look at the fixed mindset. Failure is the limit of my abilities. You know, I'm either good at it or I'm not. Point blank. Period. My abilities are unchanging. I can either do it or I can't. Like, what you want? I don't like to be challenged. My potential is predetermined. When I'm frustrated, I just give up. I ain't got time for this mess. Feedback and or criticism are personal. I just stick to what I know. Don't come over here with that extra stuff. So these are all perspective starts on fixed mindset. Think about if any of these emerge in your life right now as we live in this quarantine life. What particular topics or realms of life do you tend to respond to with this mindset? A lot of people are touting gloom and doom. It's over. With quarantine, life is our new reality. Um, so think about how this fixed mindset is emerging in your thought patterns today, right now. Growth mindset, of course, is a little different. As you look at these, failure is an opportunity to grow. It doesn't limit my abilities. It gives me an opportunity to grow. I can learn to do anything I want versus I'm either good at it or I'm not. Challenges help me grow. My efforts and attitude determine my abilities versus my potential is predetermined. And that's all I got. Feedback is constructive. It's not personal, it's constructive. I like trying new things and I am inspired by the success of others. So, do you see the difference? And I know we hear this a lot and we think, oh, I've heard this before, but how do you apply this to your life? Is really why we're here today. So, as I talked about Dr. Dweck, Carol Dweck, who has done a lot of research on this and wrote several books. This is a really good book for you to explore Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, how we can learn to fulfill our potential. And so she adds to this topic of mindset as we try to move towards adopting a growth mindset. She adds some misconceptions that people tend to take on as they try to adopt this. They take on this, well, I already have and I always have, so just go with it. Yes, you already have it, and you have, but it's not just about the recognition of that. It takes more than just saying I already have it and I always have, so I'm good. It's not just that. It has to be coupled with effort, which leads me to the next misconception. A growth mindset is just about praising and rewarding efforts. This is another misconception. If you just praise people and reward people, it'll help their mindset change. Praising and rewarding and uplifting is definitely a part of it. But again, it is about coupling that with work efforts and outcomes. What have you done and what efforts have you put into place that are going to move you forward? So it's the praising and the rewarding coupled with the sweat of your brow, as the elders would say. What have you done? What goals have you set to move forward? Which leads me to the final misconception, but it's kind of connected to this. Again, if you just espouse a growth mindset, good things will happen. Speaking it into the ethos, speaking it into the world is definitely a part of it. But again, the sweat of the brow. What have you done? What activities, what efforts are you putting into place? What outcomes are you working towards? Also, is a part of this growth mindset. So it's not just naming it and claiming it, it's doing. And as you begin to do and enact and apply, you see the mindset, growth mindset, really come into fruition within your life. So the question really does become what is your mindset? What is it? Be honest with yourself. What is my mindset on a daily basis? Am I constantly having negative thoughts to myself? Am I constantly speaking down on myself? Do I see everything as negative? Am I I consider myself to be a critic often. I can be very critical of things, and I'm working towards being more pragmatist versus just overly critical and negative. So it's really thinking about what is your mindset. Another moment of clarity. Just take a moment to answer these questions on a daily basis. Which mindset do I tend to operate from? Is it fixed or is it growth, and why? Take a minute, 15 seconds. Let's go. All right, let's keep it going. We have a little bit over time. We're going to keep going. So as you think about it, like, what is your mindset? Really sit down and reflect on what is my mindset. The honest truth. The honest truth. And if you need some help, I would encourage you to do some self assessments. There are a lot online that you can do to really look at how you can assess your mindset, your mental thoughts, and how you speak to yourself, your self conversations. This is an example of one to really kind of get you started. If you look at this, it gives you some statements to ask, and then you typically respond with agree, somewhat disagree, or disagree. So look at these statements. When people achieve major accomplishments, it's not a good idea to tell them how smart they are. Do you agree, somewhat, disagree, or not? Hiring candidates who are fully qualified for jobs makes a company stronger than hiring candidates who are partially qualified. When I experience a setback, I may feel discouraged or disappointed before I try again. Some professionals are natural leaders. The people I work with have a lot of potential at improving in their performance. Then you do better. Although I may not admit it, sometimes I resent a peer's promotion when I'm more qualified. So as you look at these, and then it tells you to answer these questions based on your belief systems and your perspectives. And then it says the even number statements illustrate a fixed mindset, while the odd number ones illustrate a growth mindset. Even numbers represent fixed. Here's one, the hiring. Some professionals are natural leaders. This one looks at how you resent others coming up, right? This tells you that this is a fixed mindset. So you have some of these self-assessments here that can really give you some more context and conversation to have with yourself about really what is my mindset on a daily basis in general, and really how, because that's the first part, identifying what your mindset is and being honest with yourself. We are running out of time, so we're going to move quickly. I had a couple of additional case studies and examples. Um, of course, we can talk about, you know, something simple as running late for work. You plan for the next day, but you get up and you're late. You miss your alarm. You hit the zoos, whatever the button is, button too quickly, and you're late, and you're up, and you're running, and you're scrambling, and you're clamoring, and you have anxiety. You can't find stuff, and you run out, and you miss the train or you miss the bus. And so I am one of these people. I am a type A, recovering type A, and I really like to have a plan. I typically operate from a to be early is to be on time, to be on time is to be late. And as they said when I was on Lion Pledge and Alpha, if you late, stay your ass at home. This was my approach, and so I'm always, if I'm late, it's just but this is a great example of assessing your mindset when something like this happens. You know, if you have a fixed mindset, it suggests that in this scenario, your day is ruined. You late, you can't get it together. You got an attitude. You rolling your eyes at everybody. You're snapping at people. Your day is ruined because of that one event. You may be angry. You may blame others. If you're in your car and you're in the traffic, you're already late, so you blaming everybody for driving slow. You're blaming everything for that. So this is the fixed mindset. But the growth mindset again is, you know, yes, I'm late. I accept that. What can I do to avoid it next time? That's a really good example. This is another one. Getting poor feedback from your boss or getting constructive criticism that is not ideal. How do you respond to that? What is your mindset in responding to that? So again, you go in for an evaluation and it's not positive, it's negative feedback. Your boss thinks you're putting in enough effort, that you aren't putting in enough effort. You're making too many mistakes, and you're simply just not competent enough to handle your current project. How would you respond to that? Would you respond with a fixed mindset? They are just haters on me. There's haterations in this dancery. They don't like me. They don't know what they're talking about because they're incompetent as well, which are can be valuable and true. But again, um, but how are you responding to that? Additionally, are you responding with, well, maybe they are right. Maybe I am just, as we used to say in the South, slaw, subpar, lackadaisical, asinine, and whack. Maybe I am slaw. Well, maybe I just can't get it right. Maybe I should just leave. Or do you respond with, okay, I'm going to take this constructively. I'm going to evaluate it objectively. And if there is some value to it, I'm going to inquire to get more information about how I can apply this to improve. Right. So these are just two examples, general examples. But I wanted to also, I wanted to put some stuff when I said when life gets really real. When life gets real and it's intense, this is where the rubber meets the road. And these are just some examples of real life situations that I have experienced or colleagues and friends have shared with me about. This is what people are dealing with right now in this COVID environment. Just some examples. People are getting furloughed from their jobs. If you're a small business, there may be some frustration where you applied for the Corona Paycheck Protection Program loan and you ain't heard nothing back, but you just saw that Steak and Shake, who eats there, Ruth's Chris, have hogged all of the millions of dollars for that. And here you are trying to struggle as a small business owner. How do you respond to that? Maybe you're a job seeker and you're unable to find a job. A lot of people were transitioning in their lives. They maybe had just quit their job and were moving across the country, like us. And now there are no jobs, and you're in the job market looking for interviews, and nobody's hiring. How does that impact your psyche and your thoughts and your depression or your positivity? Or your work hours are cut? Or even look at high school students and college students who are supposed to graduate. Your graduation is canceled. Your prom is canceled. College students are now having to operate online, and you hate operating online in classes. You or if you like me, you just can't go outside for the next month, and it's driving you absolutely insane. These are real live experiences that give us an opportunity to really cultivate our mindset and to try to adopt a growth mindset. So that's what you do. You try to adopt a growth mindset. And when I say this, your mindset matters. It's important for us to think about all of these negative things are happening to us. We're not saying, oh, just be a robot and don't have a visceral reaction to it or don't respond. Don't, it's what do you have to respond? You have to react. So as these things are happening, hoop, holler, cry, fall out, foam at the mouth, whatever you need to do to react and get it out. And then when you have that moment, a day or two or whatever, take it back to, okay, what is my mindset? How should my mindset shift now to respond to this in a way that is going to move me forward? And so that's why we say your mindset matters. And so I'm going to transition quickly into how can we apply this to our real lives? How can we apply this to the things that we're experiencing right now in this quarantine life? So I have some practices for improvement. I'm not going to read all of these, but again, these are just some tips that you can look at and apply on uh, your daily schedule as you navigate life. And I like this quote. It says, "Take daily ownership of your own attitude and identity. Take pride in your growth and you're developing your mindset." So I like this because it basically says you have the power. You must take ownership of who you are. That is the first step. Good, bad, ugly, in between. I take ownership for who I am and where I am right now. I take ownership in the fact that I can be impatient. I take ownership in the fact that I can be loud and sophisticated when I go out sometimes. I take ownership in the fact that, I overlook people at times, so I can be rude. I take ownership in the fact that I'm a great listener or that I have this. This is the first step to really beginning to adopt a growth mindset. Take ownership of your attitude and your identity and some more internal habits that you can begin applying. And so as you begin to take ownership again, acknowledge your imperfections. Don't hide from them. Address them head on. I know it's hard to go into the shadows of self and deal with that, but until we do that, we tend to stay more stifled. So if you acknowledge your imperfections, yes, I'm normally late all the time. Yes, I know I struggle. Yes, I can be distracted often. Yes, I may have some signs of ADHD. Yes, I may be depressed. That is half the battle to begin processing those and cultivating and improving those, which also can lead to you finding your purpose. And this really is about finding a purpose. And I know some people now who may not have jobs are sitting at home every day. They feel like they're purposeless. I'm just sitting up all day, sitting up in my room like Brandy. This is where you can begin to again reassess who you are and look at some of your gifts and try to reestablish your purpose. Reestablish who you are. And if you don't know, just start work on what you know. Find a purpose. Right now, I'm just gonna color these coloring books and think about goals I want to set for this week. That'll be my purpose right now. Maybe I'm gonna continue looking for jobs until. But again, find your purpose. Stop seeking approval from others. Prioritize learning over approval. Again, stop seeking approval. This is a hard one. This is a hard one. We all are wired as humanoids to be connected to others, and so the approval of others is a strong force. But again, as we begin to take ownership of our own identity and our attitudes and our who we are, we begin to believe in ourselves, and it's less about receiving approval from external factors, and it really is about from within. And this is another one. So as you think about your learning or skill sets, value the learning process over the end result. Again, and I talk to my students about this. I work in a college. I work at UNC Charlotte, and I work with students who may be on academic probation or who may not be doing well. And a lot of them is, well, I just didn't get an A, and I don't have what it takes. I need to get a 4.0. I hate history, but so I'm just going to do what I can to get a C. And I tell students it's important for you to change your mindset. Sure, you hate this Western civilizations course. It drains your soul. But change your mindset to there's something I can learn from this. What can I take from this and apply it to my life? And how can I learn the information and take an authentic approach to the learning process versus I need an A. So value the learning process, value seeking knowledge over the outcome. But this is good. When you're looking at external habits on how to adopt a growth mindset, I highlighted these two first. Again, so we talked about embracing your imperfections. Also, it's just self-awareness. Become more aware of your talents, strengths, and weaknesses. I ask students when I teach my public speaking courses, write down 5 things you're good at, and they look at me cross-eyed and deer, like a deer in headlights. I don't know. I can't talk about myself. I don't know what I can do. What? Reflect and assess. What are your talents? What are your strengths? Can you sing? Can you braid hair? Can you do a taper? Are you a good listener? Do you clean up well? No matter how menial it seems, begin to list those and embrace those. And that is a first step to moving forward into your purpose and investing in those. Gather feedback from those who know you best and put it together for a comprehensive view. This is also around with the surround yourself with positive energy that inspires you. So again, as we're looking at our mindset, it's important to surround ourselves with positive energy, positive vibrations, people who have a growth mindset, who are always not negative Nancy or negative Ned. And oftentimes, I know I can often put off this negative pragmatist approach where everything is just blah. But it's important to be around people who see life in a pragmatic or practical lens. You know what? It's not always about overlooking the bad or not seeing the good. It really is about that balance. So it's about surrounding yourself with people who can do that, who's doing that because that energy transfers to you, and then getting feedback from them about who you are and where you go. Um, Take risks and be vulnerable with others. Again, it is, I talk to my students and clients about the paralysis of analysis. I'm a very strategic thinker when I make decisions, but at some point, decide and move. There's another quote that says, lead, follow, get out of the way. Right? It's important at some point you have to take the risk. Be strategic, be critical in your thinking, but at some point, take the risk. And also being vulnerable with others. This is a huge one. Being vulnerable with others. Of course, it needs to be people you trust with your vulnerability, but it is so hard for us to be vulnerable and open about who we are and things that we're working on. The more vulnerable we become, the more vulnerable others become, and the more we can cultivate and build our skills and our mindset. Okay, so these are just some external habits, internal habits for you to get started on adopting and improving your mindset. It's not, and the final thing to me is, you know, this is a daily journey. This is a daily journey. We must practice this every day. We all have moments, and it's important when you have those moments to be mindful. We hear about mindfulness, this idea of stepping outside of yourself and examining your thoughts. You're thinking about how you think, stepping out and saying, "Stop thinking that. Stop that. Do this. Think this." So it's also just important for us to be mindful every day. What are my daily thoughts to self? What are my daily thoughts telling me about my life? What internal thoughts are holding me back? And how can I improve my self conversation? These are daily thoughts that I want to leave with you as you take from this presentation. And this is a daily thing. It's a daily check-in. I would encourage you to check in every morning and every evening about my mindset, my mind state, and how did I do? How much better can I be? I'm wrapping up again lessons learned from today's presentation. Our mindset really does shape whether we believe we can or we can't. And a lot of times it's either fixed or a growth mindset, or it could be a mixture of both. I'm advocating for a mixture of both with a leaning towards growth mindset. Because if you take control of your mindset on a daily, it can help you really have a balanced perspective on life. And it really helps you, accomplish the impossible. So, with that, we're going to lead you with a quote. I love quotes, they speak to my life. That's how I try to stay centered. You see, idealism detached from action is just a dream. But idealism allied with pragmatism, with rolling up your sleeves and making the world bend a bit, is very exciting. It's very strong by Bono. Doesn't that make you just want to get up and take the world by its horns and go get it? Go get it. Thank you so much for joining us for our lunch series on mindset in a COVID environment. Please like, subscribe, check us out, hook us up. We just want to get some more followers on YouTube. Look us up, Dream Lunch. We're here for your success. Thank you so much. Good luck. Have a good one.